My life today is peaceful, happy, joyful. I mean, I don't live with fear anymore, but it wasn't always like this. There was a time in my life where I was sad, I was bitter, I was empty inside. And I used to try and fill this emptiness by sleeping around with girls. I used to sleep around recklessly with girls from all around the country. I didn't care what they looked like. I used to sleep around with anyone. I used to try and fill my emptiness by doing illegal stuff to get money. But still my emptiness couldn't be filled. I used to fill my emptiness by having fights, by doing things to keep me occupied, by going to raving, by partying. I couldn't be alone. But then I took part in actions of faith. So I started taking part in chains of prayers. The only thing that could give me this peace and assurance that I needed within was the Holy Spirit. And within some time, I received this peace. And this is why I stand here today. I'm happy and I have this peace within me. I have this joy. Everything I want in life is looking promising. Things are moving forward for me.
Hello, good evening, and welcome to Finding Answers. Now, you ask anyone you know if their past should control them, and they'll tell you no. You know the answer is no. No one needs to tell you that. Our past no longer exists. It isn't there. There's no point for you to look behind your shoulders because your past isn't there. However, why are there so many of us that allow our past to control our present? Think about it. How many people do you know that refuse to go into relationships because of a bad experience of the past? How many people find it difficult to live and let go of a grudge because of something that someone said or did to them? How many people refuse to talk to someone that deep down is important to them, but they say, I will not speak to this person because they hurt me? What is it that you can't do with your life? What is it that you can't decide to do with your present, with your future, because of something that happened to you in your past? Perhaps you are a prisoner. You've become a prisoner of something that happened to you in the past. You are a hostage. You know what a hostage is? A hostage is someone who wants to be free. They want to leave that situation of imprisonment, but there is someone that has an advantage of power over them that impedes them to get out of that situation and be free. And perhaps that's exactly what your past is doing to you. Maybe you are a prisoner, a hostage of past failures. Your failure of the past or that happened in the past impede you to even perhaps try to do something that is positive today. Now we know, as we said earlier, that our past doesn't exist, but maybe it haunts you. And when you use this word haunt, it's something you can't see. When you think about a horror movie that talks about hauntings or things like this that don't really exist, but it's something you can't see, but you're afraid of it. And that's what the past has done to many that are watching us tonight. Good evening, Esther.
Good evening. Good
How are
evening,
you?
everybody at home. I'm very well, thank you, Pastor.
And we were saying that you can't really see the things that happened to you in the past anymore, but many have been scarred by the past and are prisoners, hostages of things that happened to them.
Yeah, it can be a very powerful force, even though it's, like you say, invisible. It's like, chains holding you down for some people. The past could be little things that are holding you back, but it could be big things as well. Mm-hmm. It could be that you're repeating the same patterns in your life because, oh, I don't like that, or I don't do that because I didn't do it in the past. So it can be as simple or as complicated as you like.
Yes, as you said, it can be something simple that may not really control your life at all or hold you back from doing things you want to achieve, but it can be something that can cripple you. Now, how do you overcome your past? How do you become free of your past? And I'm going to show you a picture today in this program, in a few moments. Later on in this program, I'll be showing you a picture physically here in my hand. It'll be in my hands in just a few moments. And I'm going to show you something that has to do with this picture that shows you how you can overcome the traumas, the hurts, the pain of the past that perhaps are keeping you hostage right now. And I want to show you a video as well in just a moment, but I want to open the phone lines already now for you that are a hostage, a prisoner of your past. You say, James, I feel like my mind is taken over by things that have happened to me. And I don't know how to break free from this. I don't. If you ask me how, I don't know. I just know that I want to be free. Then the phone lines are open now for you to speak to one of our advisors, one of our pastors right now. The number to call is 020-7686-6300 or send us an email, help@findinganswers.tv. I'm going to show you this video now. When I come back, I'm going to be speaking to Esther, who's here with me. We're going to be speaking more about this subject. Don't go anywhere.
Do you live in the past? Are you always thinking or feeling bad about something that you did or something that was done to you? Do you let it hold you back in life? Now, we know the past is gone and there isn't much we can do about it, yet we do spend a considerable amount of time thinking about the past, and we often wish that things could have been different. Every single person does it. Letting go can be difficult. Letting go of people, ideas, expectations, desires, letting go of bad habits, false beliefs, and destructive relationships. You name it, the list is endless. And before you get too caught up in the past, remember that the past is merely a notion, an unreachable place in our minds, which we give probably too much attention to. The past is, of course, not completely useless. We learn and evolve from lessons or situations experienced in our past. So do pay attention to it, but don't let it rule your life.
So there you have it. Are you controlled by your past? Do you feel like you have all this potential to be achieving all of your dreams, to be this person that, anyone can look at you and say, wow, look at what this person has done with their life. And yet you feel you fall short because your past controls you. Esther, what do you have to say about this topic of the past?
Well, the past it's quite dangerous because people, they can't see your past when they see you. Mm-hmm. You feel your past and you carry it around like baggage, really heavy baggage, yeah. So it pulls you down, but people don't quite know why or what's wrong with you or why you're not moving forward. Mm-hmm. Also, the past can be used for excuses. If somebody doesn't want to get on with something or do something, oh, my parents, they treated me badly. Oh, mm-hmm. At school I was bullied for years, which are legitimate excuses, but nonetheless there are excuses.
Mm-hmm. And that's it. Your past can be, I already have here the picture in my hands, but I'm going to hide it here for a minute. I'm going to show it to you in just a moment. Your past can indeed stop you from even trying, from even starting to fight against your problems. Now, if you say, James, I want to break these chains. I want to stop being controlled by my past. Like Esther said, you made a very valid point, Esther, because when people look at you, they don't really see your past. They see you on the outside, perhaps portraying to be a very confident person. But nobody really knows what goes on in the scars you have of your past. And sometimes people can misinterpret the way you behave because they don't know what you've been through.
Like, for example, animals, like a dog, they mm-hmm. don't carry, well, as far as we know, they don't carry the past around with them. Mm-hmm. And they always look quite happy. Mm-hmm. Children, they're not carrying baggage of past. So they seem quite free, living in the present moment. It's worth noting that it will just weigh you down.
Absolutely. Now, let me tell you what I was explaining to you, that there's one thing you can do to be free from your past. And, your imagination, and we can say faith is connected to imagination, because what is faith? Faith is believing in something that you can't see. That's how the Bible describes faith. You see something in your mind and you believe that at some point it will be reality. Now, I have a picture here in my hand. We are now going through the World Cup, even though I don't really know what's happening in the World Cup that much. But in the same country, in Brazil, our church has built, and actually we've reached now virtually 100% of completion of this work, of the marvelous Temple of Solomon, which is a replica, but in greater proportion, of the original Temple of Solomon that the Bible describes. So everything is exactly the same, but just magnified to a larger scale. And this temple will be inaugurated in a few weeks. Now, a few years back, what you can see here, I want to see if this camera can zoom in on this picture. What you see there, let me try not to move that much so they can focus 100%, that's it. That temple will be inaugurated in a few weeks. Now, a few years back, that there, and that's a real picture, didn't exist. 4 years ago, that didn't exist. So what you see there was built in 4 years. 4 years ago, the only thing that existed was this image in one man's mind. He thought, I want to build that. And your imagination is a very powerful tool for you to overcome your past traumas. Because if you imagine yourself free from that, if you imagine yourself a person who can be someone new, then that's a very powerful tool. Now, I want to give you this picture. We are going to be, on Monday, on this program, we are going to be revealing why this picture. And I want to send it to you. If you have never had the chance to receive this picture, we gave it in our churches on Sunday. I want to send it to you, and I want you to keep it with you. In fact, I want you to sleep with your head laying on this picture. Let me tell you why. Because our imagination happens here, right? So you're going to lay your head on this picture as a symbol of the things you can dream of, you can imagine. And on Monday, I'm going to tell you what you're going to do with this. So if you say, I don't have this picture, I want to have it, and I want to do that as an exercise of showing that I have faith that my life can change and imagining great things, then send us an email if you've never received this picture with your name and your details, and we'll be sending this picture to you in the post tomorrow before 12 midday, so you can get it hopefully on Thursday already, next day. Okay? So if you send us your email, if you have one, great. If you don't, send us your details to help@findinganswers.tv, help@findinganswers.tv, and we'll be sending you this picture tomorrow, first thing. Also, we will be having the show later on Pastor Alvaro, who will be advising you on your emails. If there's anything you need advice on in your life, perhaps something that you haven't been able to overcome in your past, send us your story on an email, and he'll be reading your story and advising you accordingly. So do that. If you want to receive that picture to exercise your faith in that way, send us your details, name and address, or if you want advice. After the break, we'll be speaking to, and I just had a blank, Tyrone. Thank you, Esther. And he'll be telling us his amazing story, how he overcame the past. We'll be right back.
When we want to reach our goals, we research, act, and make sure we know everything there is to know about that topic. We study hard because that is the intelligent thing to do. This is the same for our development as a Christian. The Faith School is designed for those who want a degree in spiritual growth, those who want to separate time to study the Holy Bible and follow God's path for their life. There is no admissions fee, and it's suitable for every level of learner. You will learn how to interpret the Word of God for your daily life and become stronger internally. Do you want to find inner peace and spiritual strength? Then this course is for you. The Faith School, every Wednesday at your local UCKG Help Centre. For more information, call 020 7686 6000 or visit our website uckg.org.
The Bible contains the mind of God, the state of man, the way of salvation, the doom of sinners, and the happiness of believers. Its doctrines are holy, its precepts are binding, its stories are true, and its decisions are immutable. Read it to be wise, believe it to be safe, and practice it to be holy. It contains light to direct you, food to support you, and comfort to cheer you. It is the traveler's map, the pilgrim's staff, the pilot's compass, the soldier's sword, and the Christian's charter. Here, paradise is restored, heaven opened, and the gates of hell disclosed. Christ is its grand subject, our good the design, and the glory of God its end. It should fill the memory, rule the heart, and guide the feet. Read it slowly, frequently, and prayerfully. It is a mine of wealth, health to the soul, and a river of pleasure. It involves the highest responsibility, will reward the greatest labor, and will condemn all who trifle with its sacred contents. Pray it in, read it through, live it out, and pass it on.
Click on to uckg.org for all the latest happenings at the UCKG Help Centre. It's dynamic, interesting, and full of content that will add to your daily life. Keep up to date with all the latest info on events up and down the country at a UCKG closest to you. There's something for everyone, and you're invited. Check out what we've done previously and update your calendar with what's coming up next. Ladies, especially for you, presenters and authors Nanda Becerra, Esther Becerra, Chris Cardoso, and Viviani Freitas share with you advice on becoming a better woman. Read their top tips on health, beauty, love and well-being, all aimed at helping you become the woman you were created to be. And if you're looking for food for the soul and personal development, then check out messages from world-renowned spiritual leader Bishop Macedo, as well as character-building blogs from Bishops Renato and Celso Jr. It's spiritual intelligence for your life. And for all you young guys and girls, why not check out our section dedicated to youth? Real talk, real advice, and a whole lot of fun. Catch cool clips of their shows and listen to the catchiest VYG record tracks. Want some inspiration? Watch our live transformational videos, recent programs, plus all the promos and coverage of some of our best shows and events.
Hello, very good evening to all of you. This is Finding Answers.
Finding us is easy. Wherever you are in the UK, find the UCKG nearest to you at a click of a button. uckg.org. All you need at your fingertips.
Just recapping, why sleep with your head on this picture? Your head is the source of all imagination. That's where you project your future, you plan your future in your head. And this was once a plan, it's now reality. You sleeping with your head there represents that the same imagination that someone had to bring this building into reality, the same thing God can help you to do, right? And on Monday, I will explain to you what you'll do with this picture. But for now, if you haven't received this picture yet and you want to have one, you can send us an email with your details. You have an interesting story that you want to read there to us, Esther?
I do. It's story time. I have a very short story just to reiterate what we were saying about the past and holding on to the past. So 2 monks were on a pilgrimage. One day they came to a very deep river. At the edge of the river, a young woman sat weeping because she was afraid to cross the river without help. She begged the 2 monks to help her. The younger monk turned his back on her. The members of their order were forbidden to touch a woman. But the older monk picked up the woman without a word and carried her across the river. He put her down on the far side and continued his journey. The younger monk came after him, scolding him and berating him for breaking his vows. He went on his way for a long time. Finally, at the end of the day, the older monk turned to the younger monk and said, "I only carried her across the river. You've been carrying her all day." So basically what that fable or story is saying that we can carry a lot in our minds. And we can say that's similar to, like I said, baggage.
It can be very heavy to carry something on your mind, especially your past.
Yes.
All right, so let me introduce you now to Tyrone, who is here in the program with me, and he's going to tell you his story, how he succeeded this past. How are you, Tyrone?
I'm good, not too
You
bad.
okay?
How are you? Yeah.
Now, you struggled with your past as well, right?
Yes.
Where did it start? Where did your problems with the past start?
Well, it started from when I was a young child. My mother and father separated when I was 4. So I grew up single parent background. Grew up, I guess, with a lot of hurt, a lot of pain, seeing my mum bring up myself and my sister. And that caused a lot of confusion in my head because I would think, where's my father? And he, as growing up, he remarried. And again, just leaving my mum to look after me and my sister. Then, obviously, I guess I had a lot of hate towards him, but I didn't show it. And growing up, I grew up in my teenage years with a lot of anger, but I didn't show it because I didn't want to jeopardize, because my dad remarried and I didn't want to jeopardize a relationship with him. So carried on as normal, but I kept it inside.
So you had a relationship with him?
Yes.
But all this stuff was hidden inside?
Yes.
And I imagine that caused problems that you tried to cover up but was still there, right?
Yeah, I guess so. There were times where I wanted to say something, but I didn't want to cause arguments between either my father or my mother. So I just wanted to make peace. Because obviously, growing up, I saw a lot of arguments, and I didn't want to be the cause of that again. So I left it as normal. I grew up with my friends. As a normal teenager would, going out all the time, partying, and I was heavily addicted to pornography. And this was something that was something hidden. So on the surface, I looked fine, but deep down it was something really dark in my background that no one knew about. And this was something that was really bringing me down. So
the thing about pornography is when you think about people who are addicted to pornography, you imagine teenage kids who are not in a relationship. So that's it's like something that they can relieve themselves, as it were, right?
Yes.
So you started with this when you were young.
I think the first time I watched pornography was probably when I was about 11.
Right. 11,
and obviously back then, there wasn't no DVDs or there was no internet. It was VHS videos, and it was fun. It was fun then. Obviously, you would find a video, and it would be fun to watch. But as I grew up and I got older, I started to find access to watch pornography. And obviously, when the internet came out, it was freely accessible. Then, from then it just led to something really dark. Yeah.
Now, the thing is, the reason why I mentioned teenagers is because, I mean, it still has a negative effect on teenagers because they build this false idea of what sex is, what women are like, what men are like sometimes.
Yes.
But then when you are in a relationship and when you get older, you go into a relationship, if you still carry that with you, then you have a whole other set of problems with that. Now, was that the case?
Yeah, I guess when you watch pornography, it gives you a false image of, first of all, what sex is in general, but you go around, when you go clubbing, you would want girls to do certain things that you would see in the videos, which are totally false. And I guess you would, when I was growing up, I was in a relationship with my wife now, and because I was so heavily addicted to it, I'd watch it and would want to act it with her. But because she didn't want to do it, I would get angry and cause arguments, because obviously it's like a tainted image of what sex is all about. Sex is all about.
When you talk about it now, do you feel embarrassed talking about it now?
Sometimes, but a lot of the time I do talk about it to a lot of the youths, as we talk about now, because when you're growing up, it's seen as a taboo. It's like everyone does it, so it's fine. And so, my mum even thought, okay, it's okay to do it. You're growing up. It's part of what a young boy should do. Yeah, exactly. But she didn't really think of the bigger picture of what it can actually do.
Yeah.
So
the thing is, Tyrone, you know, and everyone at home, sex is a very important thing. Actually, what people don't say sometimes is that sex was actually created by God. It was one of the first things that he said to Adam and Eve was to procreate, right? To go and fill the earth. And you don't fill the earth if you're just you and your wife. You don't fill the earth by storks coming and delivering babies to the Garden of Eden. But the thing is that the idea of sex, when it's in a marriage, it's not even sex. It's something much more special than that. It's completely changed. Yeah. And that's the idea that you started causing your mind. And some people think that doing that actually can make the marriage more adventurous, spices things up. Did it spice anything up?
No, quite the opposite, really. I actually got my wife addicted to it, which was quite bad.
Your wife, who initially rejected it,
yes,
then became addicted to it as well.
Yeah.
And actually, I wanted to have your wife here tonight. Unfortunately, she couldn't, because I know you have a small baby.
Yes, a son.
Maybe another time. But you said she became addicted to it as well.
Yes, she became addicted to it, and obviously I used to watch it on my own, because deep down I was embarrassed, and then she was watching it as well without me knowing. I didn't even know she used to watch it a lot. Then what happened is, when I started to watch it more, my view of her, it's changed. It changed again. Like I said before, she wasn't doing the stuff in the video. She didn't look how the women looked in the video. So I guess my love for her changed. It lessened, I guess, and it changed our relationship a lot. We argued a lot. I started to feel less attracted to her because she didn't look like the videos.
Let me ask you something. How was your marriage at that point?
We weren't married then. We used to fight all the time. We used to fight. We had a lot of arguments. I guess we both have strong characters, and we wanted to both get our points across. And none of us at the time were able to humble ourselves and realize who was in the wrong. So we used to clash a lot, argue a lot all the time.
So there was not one positive that porn brought to your relationship or to your life?
No, it was bad.
Right.
Yeah.
And first of all, I commend you because of your courage to be here. You said you speak to youth about this, because it's a real problem. We said earlier about people being tied up to their past, people feeling prisoners, hostages to their past. You were a prisoner, a hostage. Did you feel this was a problem? Did you try to let go?
Yeah, I guess there's many times where I tried to overcome as now, obviously, when you look back at it, it was an addiction. It was an addiction, and when you're watching it, you don't really look at it as an addiction. You look at it as part of it's fun. And then obviously, if you know the science behind addiction, it's kind of like you get adrenaline rush. You'd want to watch pornography. Then after you've watched it, you have that you feel low, and you get that low. So what it would do, it'd be like a vicious circle. You'd watch it, you'd feel good, and then afterwards you'd feel low again. And at each point, I would start feeling worse and worse about myself. Every time I tried to overcome it, I wouldn't succeed. So I'd feel low, I'd feel weak. Why couldn't I overcome? And yes.
What about other areas of your life? I mean, I know that your marriage, in that time you weren't married, but your relationship wasn't good, right? You had this addiction. What about your self-esteem and the plans you had for your future? How was those areas of your life?
It was very selfish, really. I wanted to do my own thing. Like, I wanted to go to America, do my own projects, and my girlfriend at the time, she didn't even get a look in. It was just more myself. So, and then because I was addicted to pornography, I wanted to go to America. I wanted to see what it was all about, and get that first-hand experience. But yeah, it didn't work.
What about financially? I mean, how were you financially? I know that you had the problem with your dad, and you had this hatred that was hidden. I mean, did that affect your plans for the future?
No, thankfully, my mum brought me up to be someone that wanted to strive to get what you wanted in life. So I studied, I went to university, got my degree in that sense. So and now I run my own company, my business. So I started running my own business from an early age. So in that sense, it was fine, but it was just the more emotional side. The financial side, wasn't really the problem. It was just more the emotional inside.
I read in my notes from your story that because your family struggled a little bit in the beginning, you were also afraid of losing what you have. Was that the case?
Yes. Growing up, we didn't really have much, so it was very. My mum used to always say, "Rob Peter to pay Paul," and that was her saying. And we really struggled. There were times where we had no food or clothes. I would go to school and kids would laugh at me, so because of the same clothes I'd wear, and that would bring my confidence really low. And I guess growing up, I was very cautious with my money, to the point where I used to not pay my taxes right, all those things to lie, to keep it, to store it, but never worked.
Okay. You know, I just want to say something. You don't need a moral compass to know that pornography or any addiction is wrong. Because anything that's not good for you certainly is bad for you. If something gives you a low after a high, then it's not good for you, right? Some people say, well, pornography is only wrong for people who have a moral compass or religious kind of mentality. That's not true. Speak to anyone who has this addiction or any other addiction, they'll tell you that it doesn't bring anything positive to their lives, as Tyrone just told you. Now, we're going to go to a very, very quick break, and I'm going to come back in just a minute. I want to tell you what the people in London have to say about the past and overcoming the past, and then we'll be going through a few of the emails, and we'll listen to Tyrone's rest of the story. Don't go anywhere.
What would you do if you had to protect a great treasure? If the answer is obvious when it comes to material wealth, it should be even more obvious when the treasure is greater: your marriage. In Bulletproof Marriage, the couple Renato and Cristiane Cardoso offer solid guidance to those who appreciate the value of their relationship and want to shield it against the risk of divorce. Besides their years of counselling thousands of couples, Renato and Cristiane present the hugely successful TV show The Love School, as well as marriage courses around the world. In over 2 decades, they have lived in 3 countries and have given hundreds of talks in more than 30 countries. Speaking from their long and sometimes troubled marriage experience, the couple offer practical tips to protect current and future relationships. To order your book online or for more information on the Love School event 2014, visit our site, theloveschoolevent.com. This event was brought to you by the UCKG Help Centre.
Welcome back. Now, here's what the people in London had to say about overcoming their past.
You know, there's no stereotype anymore.
Protect yourself, sometimes you probably do.
It will heal, but it will always...
They're humans, they have the ability to use their initiative.
Find it difficult to just be happy in this life.
Hello, this is
Esther Shepherd at Finding Answers. Now today we're talking about the past. Do you live in the past? Is the past dictating your future? Let's go and find out. What is better, living in the past or living in the moment now?
Live in the past.
No. Well, I try not to live in the past.
Do you think a lot of people live in the past?
Yes. Yes. Not deliberately, but I think you get consumed with what you might have done or haven't done, or I think it depends on what the past is. It could be a positive thing if something positive has happened, but it also can be negative if you are just dwelling on things that haven't particularly gone right.
I think you have to have good memories, but I think you don't. It's not good living in the past.
Do you learn by your mistake?
I try to. I don't think it's as easy as we'd like it to be, but I try to correct myself and try and see it from other people's point of view as well, because it's not always easy. But I think one thing about life, it is a learning curve.
But sometimes it's difficult to change and not repeat the same mistakes.
So everyone says the same thing. It's not good to live in the past. The problem is that most people do. Most people have a hang-up about the past somehow, right? And you did, Tyrone. You had this thing with your dad that was there lingering in the back of your mind.
Yeah.
I mean, how did you get invited to the church, and how did things change?
Well, first of all, my wife started going to church. Well, my partner at the time started going to church. Her mum invited her. Then she started to go on a regular basis, and obviously she would tell me about it, but I wasn't really interested. Mm-hmm. And then she managed to get me to church, and I went. And when I first started going, I just went to make her happy. Really, it was one of those things where I'd go there, just sit there, and be like, okay, let me wait for the 2 hours to finish, and then to leave. And then I think it got to a point where the pornography in my life was really bad, and I wanted to find answers. I needed to have a direction. So I thought, okay, let me just hear what the pastor was saying at the time, and let it apply to myself. So I sat there, listened to the meetings, and I started to relate to the church services, and it really helped me because I started to understand certain things that I was going through, and it allowed me to be able to overcome certain issues that were going through in my life.
So in other words, the messages that you were hearing helped you to use your imagination to think of yourself as a person who could be free from that addiction and restore your marriage. In other words, so faith helped you to use your imagination, exactly like we were saying with this picture. Remember, if you haven't had a chance to have this picture yet, we've explained what you should do with it, and I'll explain again at the end of the program. If you would like to receive this, and I'll tell you why in just a moment, then send us an email with your name, surname, and details to help@findinganswers.tv. If you don't have access to your email, you can give us a call. The number's there on the screen, and someone will take your details over the phone. Now, as you started to imagine yourself being free from that, I mean, did things change overnight, or was it a process where you had to learn to use your faith?
No, because it took a long time, because I had to realize that the pornography issue was an addiction, and I just thought it was everyone did it and it was fine. But when I realized it was addiction and I needed to overcome it, that's when I realized, and obviously when I've spoken before, I would feel low every time I did it, so it would cause a negative effect. But then obviously going to the services, I would think, okay, fine, I can overcome this. This is something I can beat, because again I would realize it's all in the mind, and if I can control my mind, then it would allow me to not watch porn. And not even just porn, in every other area of my life, just through my relationship, through my finances, my emotional being with my family, my friends. It allowed me to communicate better.
How has your life become by you learning to use your faith, your imagination, that things could change? How is your life today?
So much better. I can't explain. It's amazing. It's whereas before, where I wasn't going to the services, I didn't have the tools to overcome my problems. Now I have the tools. I know what to do. The Word of God. There's certain things that I can fall back on in a sense of, and I'm not alone. And that's one of the major issues that allowed me to fall all the time, because I would just think I'm by myself, I'm alone, whereby I'm not alone. There's many people out there that do suffer, and at the same time I can help people overcome.
And taking the porn out of the picture, I mean, how is your marriage today? How is your relationship with your now wife?
Amazing. We've got obviously we're married now, married for 3 years now. We've got a 2-year-old boy, and it's amazing. We communicate much better now. It's whereas we used to argue a lot before. We don't really argue. Obviously our communication is so much better. We talk to each other. And where I said before, we both have humbled ourselves. So, for example, if I've made a mistake, then I acknowledge it, and same with her.
Now, you were saying earlier that because of that addiction you had, it's like you started to love your wife less.
Yes.
How much do you love her now?
I don't know. Words can't describe how much I love her. It's one of these feelings where I grew up, I didn't really see that, because obviously my father left when I was a young boy. So growing up, I didn't really know what a healthy marriage was. So in order for me to see it, I had to create that myself and be that with my wife. And now that we have a son now, it's something that we wanna show to him, not just for obviously my son to see, but we genuinely love each other. I mean,
So you are offering to your son now what you didn't have.
Yes.
When you're growing up. So look at the power of faith. You may not have had the privilege of a prosperous life in your home when you're growing up, a united home, or health in your family, or even in yourself. But the power of faith can lead you not only to imagine, but bringing that imagination to reality in your life today. Now, we're going to go to a very quick break, our last break. When we come back, Pastor Alvaro will be here with me. He'll be replying or answering 2 emails that we'll be reading here that have been coming through. And I'll explain to you once again about this picture, so don't go anywhere. Welcome back. Let's see if we can get through a few emails here. I'm going to read one. Pastor Alvaro, welcome to the program, by the way.
Thank you very much.
It's always a pleasure to have you here.
My
Every
pleasure.
Tuesday, you're here with us, right?
That's right.
We're going to try to get through a couple of emails. So this one just came through. I'm not going to read the name because the person might want to remain anonymous. So it says, "Hi, I left my boyfriend in Africa and came to the UK in 2008. I was already pregnant with his child, but I didn't know it until I got to the UK. My child is 5 years now, and we have been communicating with my boyfriend. And I went to show him his child in Africa in 2012, hoping that we will be together again. I have lost hope in our long-distance relationship. I want to let him go, but it's very hard. I cry sometimes because we made promises to each other. I have accepted my situation, that we don't have a chance to be together, but he strongly believes that we can make it, but I want to let go of him." So it's a little bit confusing. It's like he believes the relationship can work, she doesn't believe anymore.
she needs to talk to him, first of all. I don't know if she has done already, if she sat down and both of them have, exchanged, their feelings or, what they want to do with the relationship. Because the way she's saying, one wants to move on and the other is not keen to move on. So my advice is, first of all, is for both of them to sit down, to put the emotions aside, because I'm sure that there is a lot of emotions there, right? And, use their reasoning, their intelligence, and really talk as adults, and really try to find out if that's what both of them want to do.
And even though they're in different countries, but you mentioned for them to sit down, I mean, they can do that.
Exactly. They have technology, Skype
and all these kind of things. It's important that you don't let go of something that perhaps there's a chance that it can work. Now you have another email there.
I have. Do you want to keep it anonymous as well? Because I think this person doesn't mind. Her name is Andrea.
Let's go ahead.
Right. So
now you said her name.
I said it.
So
because she wrote it, so I believe she doesn't mind. So she says here, I'm a single young woman who has come through a lot of family problems, including an abusive childhood. I grew up in an area with highly poverty, drug use, and violence. Although my family was dysfunctional, I succeeded in academics, graduated, and found employment. This was always my goal, she's saying here. And then she starts talking about all the negative things that she went through in life. And she says here, to further complicate matters, I still have not addressed the original difficulties of my childhood. Although I'm now in my mid-20s, I often ask myself, what can I do to change this? What can I do? Well, Andrea, I was reading here, James, she can't see what she can do, but actually she wrote about it here. I have just mentioned this, and maybe she cannot see because I will tell in a few moments, so people who are watching now can understand. You see, she wrote here like this, I grew up in an area with high poverty, drug use and violence. Although my family was dysfunctional, look at this, although my past was dark, I succeeded in academics. You see, she overcame, she succeeded, graduated, and found employment. Now, Andrea and James, look at this. Here is what she cannot see. This was always my goal in life. You see, she was always imagining herself graduating, imagining herself succeeding, and eventually it happened.
Yeah. And now she has to imagine herself being free from them.
Exactly.
Right?
And for this to happen, she has to continue practicing what once she started. And I said that she wasn't able to see here because she's living on the past. So she's looking back. She's looking at what went wrong instead of looking at what went well in her life. It's like that, in the playground, we have something called the monkey bar. Have you heard of the monkey bar?
Yeah.
In order for you to progress, to move forward, you have to, to grab one by one. Every time you grab one bar, you have to let go of this one and grab the other one. If you hold on to both bars, what happens? It happens what happened to Andrea. You get stuck because you are there hanging on to the past. But for you to progress, what do you have to do? Let go of the past, focus ahead, start dreaming again, imagining yourself succeeding. And for sure you're going to succeed.
And she was saying also that she's in her mid-20s, but she hasn't dealt with the issues of the past. And dealing with the issues of the past is painful. Anybody who has dealt with things of the past, they know it's painful, but you have to do it. The earlier you do it, the quicker you do it, the better it's going to be for you because you're going to overcome this. Now, going back to what we said earlier in the program, this picture here, which you can see now in your screen, which is the Temple of Solomon, a replica of the Temple of Solomon, the measurements that we have for the Temple of Solomon in the Bible were given to Solomon by God. This is the only building on the face of this planet whose measurements, whose architectural measurements were given by God. This wasn't written, the measurements for this building weren't made up by someone who just woke up one morning and said, let me draw a building. And 4 years ago, or actually even before that, this building didn't exist. If you would go to this place here, there would be just some old buildings there. Then we knocked the buildings down. There was an empty plot of land. But one man had faith and imagined this building coming out of the pages of the Bible, the pages of the architect who drew it to the current scale, and he believed this could be reality. Now, if you asked me 6, 7 years ago, what would the Temple of Solomon in Brazil be? I wouldn't know, and you wouldn't either, Alvaro. No. But this man had this in his mind. Look what the power of imagination can do. If you drive a car, that car exists today because one day someone imagined that car. That's the power of faith. Faith can make you imagine things that don't exist and can make you have it. Faith is what led Tyrone to think of a happy marriage and to have that happy marriage. And before Tyrone, his wife, who started in the church, dreamt about it, imagined it, and it happened. That's why I want you to have this picture. Because for the next few days until Monday, when we'll come back to this program and show you this picture again and tell you why we asked you to do this, I would like you, and actually I'm doing this. Are you doing this as well, Alvaro?
Yes, also.
You have
yes,
yours.
My picture's inside of my pillowcase.
Actually, your wife is
night.
sitting there. I don't know if we can we get a camera on Miss Aline who's sitting there? Yeah, it's okay.
Yeah,
get a camera on her. Get a camera on her, please. She's here, and she also has hers.
Every night we have.
Can you wave hello to the camera, Miss Aline? So again, they didn't see you. Say hello. So she's here waiting for him. We are doing this because our idea is that when we sleep at night with our head on this picture, just like that man imagined this great work and it came to reality. Of course, people had to work for it. You don't imagine anything and it comes to reality just because you thought of it. People have to work for it. In the same way, God can help you to take that life you imagine. I don't even know if we're going to have time for the prayer tonight, Alvaro. But I think it's important we say this. People imagine a better life. They may not have it. They may not have health. They may not have prosperity. They may not have a happy home. They may not have the career they want, but they imagine that career.
That's what we call dream. You see, it's the imagination. They are thinking about what they don't have yet, but they want that. But they don't know what to do.
Yeah.
And we are showing them, an alternative. We are showing them that yes, there is, an alternative. They can take this picture, and with the help of God, they can, conquer their dreams.
So, I mean, myself, Alvaro, you saw there Alvaro's wife, who's here waiting for him. Those who are part of the church, our members, we're all doing this. Why, James? Why are we doing this? It's an exercise of faith. Actually, I forgot to ask Tyrone. Are you doing this as well, Tyrone?
Yes.
Tyrone is here. He's there just behind the camera. He's doing the same thing. Because we are using this as an exercise of faith. It's not like this temple is going to come to my head. It's the same imagination that one man had one day to make this a reality. The same God that gave him the faith to do this, he can give you the faith to go through whatever obstacles. And it hasn't been easy. In the same city and in the same country, there have been many problems building the stadiums there in Brazil for the World Cup. And there have been strikes and even deaths. Now, in I think 1,460 days of works in the Temple of Solomon, we haven't had one day where the work stopped.
And no accidents, nobody got hurt. Some people even say, wow, it's a miracle. Because usually, a building of such a magnitude will, bring about, accidents and deaths, but none at all.
And by the way, let me just tell you, although we'll be finishing the program in a couple of minutes, and I really don't think we'll have time for the prayer. Maybe we'll do a quick prayer here, Alvaro. 1 minute. But
we can stretch out our hands and determine that they're going to have,
exactly
the imagination, the dream there.
But I still want to tell you this. Even after this program is finished, even after we go home now, you can keep sending your email with your name and your details if you want this picture, to do this exercise of faith with us, if you haven't done that yet. Because tomorrow morning, first thing, we'll be sending these pictures out to those who don't have it. And I believe that this exercise of faith will bring fruits, fruits of transformation, fruits of change. Your life may be the opposite of what you imagine it to be, but your imagination, your faith has power. Let's pray.
Prepare now for the moment of prayer. If you would like a prayer concerning your spiritual well-being, send your name and prayer request to prayer@findinganswers.tv.
My Lord and my Father, as my colleague said, we stretch our hands towards this camera right now. And although we cannot see this person who's praying with us, I can imagine this person.
Yes.
My mind can imagine, can see this person. And I know there are people praying with me now who are sick, who, I remember seeing this lady, going to visit this lady who had a chair in her living room, and around her chair she had everything a person needs to live on because she couldn't even get up from that chair. And maybe this person is watching me now like this, but by my faith,
Right
my
now.
imagination, I already see this person
Yes.
recovering.
Right now.
I see this person who had perhaps a broken relationship, broken marriage, like Tyrone had one day. I see them restoring their relationship. I see a change right now, my God. I determine that change right now. Holy Spirit, let this person see the power of faith at work. Maybe they don't even believe that one day they can come to this program and talk about what you have done, but I determined that all the negativity that stopped this person from believing, get out of their life right now, in the name of the Lord Jesus. So we determine this person blessed, we determine this glass of water blessed as well, and when this person drinks of it, all the negativity that stopped him from dreaming, from imagining a better future, this negativity is now cleansed out of their life, in Jesus' name. You may now drink of this water. We took a few more minutes than we wanted to, but I believe what we spoke about was really important. And providing that you act on the information you got today, I believe this will really change your life. Okay? We'll be back with you again tomorrow at the same time. Until then, have a wonderful night. May God bless you.